Have you ever stopped to wonder, why do some people seem to hold the key to understanding others? They can walk into a room, exchange a glance, and uncover what others keep hidden. It feels like a superpower, doesn't it? But here's the truth. They're not born with it. And it's not magic. The ability to read people without them ever knowing is a skill rooted in discipline, not deception. What if I told you that this skill has been passed down through the ages, not in secret manuals or shadowy techniques, but in ancient wisdom? It's a philosophy, a way of life known as Stoicism. Before you dismiss it, let me tell you something. This isn't just about reading others, it's about mastering yourself. And when you do, the world will open to you in ways you've never imagined. Today, we're diving deep into this art. Welcome to the modern Stoic. Let us begin. Part 1. The world through a Stoic lens. To read people without them knowing, you must first change the way you see the world. For most of us, the world is loud. It's chaotic. It's a swirl of emotions, biases, and distractions. But the Stoic moves through this chaos with clarity. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and one of history's greatest Stoics, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about that for a moment. Every emotion you feel, every assumption you make, is a choice. The Stoic knows this. They train themselves to silence their inner noise so they can see others clearly. Let me give you an example. Picture a conversation where someone suddenly raises their voice. Most people would react, anger meeting anger, frustration feeding frustration. But the Stoic, they pause. They ask, what is behind this reaction? Is it fear? Is it pain? When you master this pause, you gain insight into others because you no longer react blindly. Step 1 is simple but not easy. Learn to observe without reacting. Silence your assumptions. Master your emotions. Only then can you truly see others for who they are. Part 2, the art of noticing. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Reading people is about preparation. It's about sharpening your senses so that when the opportunity arises, you notice what others miss. Let's break this down. Every person leaves clues. Subtle, often unconscious signs of what they're thinking and feeling. A quick glance, a change in tone, a fleeting expression. Most people overlook these because they're too busy focusing on themselves. But the Stoic trains their mind to be present, fully immersed in the moment. Here's a practical exercise for you. The next time you're in a conversation, don't just listen to what the other person is saying. Observe them. Notice how their body moves when they speak. Pay attention to their breathing, their posture, the rhythm of their words. These details are not random. They are windows into their inner world. But there's a catch. To notice these signs, you must free yourself from distraction. You must quiet your mind and focus entirely on the present. This is not just a skill, it's a discipline. And like all disciplines, it takes practice. Part 3, stillness in the chaos. Imagine this, you're standing in the middle of a crowded street. Cars honk, people rush past, voices overlap, creating a chaotic symphony. Most people would feel overwhelmed, anxious even. But the Stoic stands still, calm amidst the noise. This is the mindset you must cultivate to truly read others. As Epictetus, another great Stoic, reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Now think about how this applies to human interactions. Every conversation, every encounter is its own kind of chaos. People bring their fears, desires, and insecurities into every word they speak, every movement they make. If you're caught up in your own emotions, you'll miss these signals. But if you cultivate stillness, you'll begin to see patterns that others overlook. Here's a secret. Stillness is not passive. It's active. It's the discipline of observing without judgment, listening without interrupting, and perceiving without assuming. And when you master this, you gain a power that is rare in this world. The power to understand others deeply, even when they don't understand themselves. Part 4, the language of the unspoken. We often think of communication as words, sentences, arguments, but the Stoics knew better. They understood that the most honest part of a person is often what they don't say. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, believed in studying human nature to understand the world, and one of his greatest lessons was this: actions speak louder than words. When someone speaks, don't just hear their words, observe their actions. Are they saying one thing but doing another? This discrepancy is where the truth lies. For instance, a person may tell you they're confident but their hands tremble, or they avoid eye contact. These signs betray their true feelings. Here's an exercise. Start paying attention to contradictions. Watch how people behave under pressure. Notice how their tone changes when they're nervous or excited. These small details are clues to the deeper truths beneath their words. And once you start noticing them, you'll realize just how much people reveal without even knowing it. Part 5. Compassion as a superpower. Let's pause here for a moment and address something crucial. Why do you want to read people? If your goal is to manipulate, to control, to gain an advantage, then you're not following the Stoic path. But if your goal is to understand, to connect, to navigate the world with wisdom and compassion, then you're walking in the footsteps of the great philosophers. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize?" This is a profound reminder that we are all flawed, all struggling in our own ways. When you read others, do so with empathy. Understand that their actions are shaped by their experiences, their fears, their pain. And when you do this, something incredible happens. You stop taking things personally. Imagine this. Someone criticizes you harshly. Instead of reacting defensively, you pause. You see their anger not as a reflection of your worth, but as a window into their own struggles. This shift in perspective is liberating. It frees you from the need for validation, from the weight of resentment, and it allows you to approach every interaction with clarity and grace. Part 6. The role of self-mastery. Now, let's turn the spotlight inward. Because the truth is, you cannot read others if you do not first understand yourself. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." What does this mean? It means that self-mastery is the foundation of everything. Without it, your perceptions will always be clouded by your emotions, your biases, your insecurities. Think about a time when you misjudged someone. Perhaps you thought they were cold because they didn't greet you warmly. Later, you found out they were simply preoccupied with a personal problem. This is what happens when we project our own feelings onto others. To avoid this, you must cultivate self-awareness. Pay attention to your own thoughts and emotions. Notice when you're jumping to conclusions or reacting impulsively. And above all, practice self-control. Because the more you master yourself, the more accurately you can perceive others. Part 7. Emotional detachment, the key to clarity. Let's address one of the most powerful yet challenging Stoic principles, emotional detachment. The world often tells us to follow our hearts, to let our emotions guide us. But the Stoic asks, what if your emotions are clouding your vision? What if your anger blinds you to the truth? What if your fear distorts reality? Epictetus famously said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." When someone wrongs you, it's not the action itself that causes your pain, it's your interpretation of that action. The Stoic learns to separate these two, to see events as they truly are, stripped of emotional bias. How does this help you read people? Simple. When you detach from your emotions, you see others with a sharper lens. You no longer interpret their actions through the fog of your own feelings. You see their intentions, their struggles, their truth. Here's a practice to try. The next time someone upsets you, pause. Instead of reacting, ask yourself, what might they be going through? What might their actions reveal about their inner world? This pause is powerful. It transforms anger into understanding, frustration into insight. Part 8. The power of silence. In a world that never stops talking, silence is a rare and powerful tool. Think about this. When was the last time you truly listened to someone? Not just their words, but their pauses, their hesitations, their unspoken thoughts. Most people are too busy planning their next reply to truly listen. But the Stoic understands that silence is not empty. It is full of meaning. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, believed in the wisdom of restraint. He taught that sometimes the most profound response is no response at all. By staying silent, you give others the space to reveal themselves. Their words, their body language, their tone, it all becomes clearer when you stop filling the gaps with your own assumptions. Here's a practical tip. The next time you're in a conversation, practice active listening. Resist the urge to interrupt or interject. Let the other person speak fully, even if it feels uncomfortable. You'll be amazed at how much people reveal when you simply give them the space to do so. Part 9. Reading between the lines. Let's take this one step further. What people say is important, but what they don't say is often even more revealing. The Stoic is a master of inference. They understand that words are just the surface. Beneath them lies a sea of emotions, fears, and desires. And to uncover these, you must read between the lines. For example, imagine someone telling you they're fine, but their voice trembles and their hands fidget. A Stoic doesn't take their words at face value. They observe the contradictions, the subtle signs that reveal the truth. This requires practice. Start by paying attention to inconsistencies. If someone's tone doesn't match their words, if their body language contradicts their message, take note. These discrepancies are where the real story lies. Part 10. Building emotional resilience. Let's talk about something crucial. Resilience. To read others effectively, you must be emotionally resilient. Why? Because people's actions can be messy, unpredictable, even hurtful. If you let their behavior trigger your emotions, you'll lose the clarity you need to understand them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This is the heart of resilience, understanding that you cannot control others, only your response to them. Imagine someone snapping at you. Most people would react defensively or angrily. But the Stoic pauses. They understand that the other person's anger is not about them, it's a reflection of their own struggles. This detachment allows the Stoic to respond with calm and understanding instead of being swept away by emotion. Here's a challenge for you. The next time someone tests your patience, don't react. Pause. Observe. Respond with wisdom, not impulse. This practice will not only improve your ability to read others, it will transform the way you interact with the world. Part 11. The Mirror of Humanity. To truly read people, you must see them not as puzzles to be solved, but as mirrors. What do I mean by this? The Stoic believes that every person we encounter is a reflection of ourselves. Their fears, their desires, their flaws, they are the same as ours, only expressed differently. By understanding others, we come to understand ourselves. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This applies not only to ourselves but to others as well. When you see someone lashing out, struggling, or hiding behind a facade, remember that they too are trapped in the stories they tell themselves. Here's a practice. The next time you observe someone, ask yourself, what part of me is similar to them? This exercise isn't about judgment, it's about empathy. By recognizing your shared humanity, you gain a deeper insight into their actions and motivations. And in doing so, you build a bridge of understanding that transcends words. Part 12. The Discipline of Patience. In the art of reading people, patience is a virtue. In our fast-paced world, we often want instant answers. We want to know what someone is thinking, feeling, or hiding immediately. But the Stoic understands that true understanding takes time. It requires observation, reflection, and above all, patience. Epictetus advised, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. This is a reminder that the path to wisdom is often slow and humbling. When it comes to reading people, you must be willing to wait, to let their true selves unfold naturally. Here's a real-world example. Imagine meeting someone new. Instead of rushing to conclusions about them, take your time. Observe how they behave in different situations. Notice how their actions align or don't align with their words. Over time, patterns will emerge, and you'll begin to see them for who they truly are. Part 13. The Illusion of Control. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to read others is believing they can control the outcome. The Stoic knows better. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wisdom reminds us that while we can observe and understand others, we cannot control their actions or decisions. Why is this important? Because the moment you try to control someone, your observations become biased. You start seeing what you want to see, rather than what's truly there. This distorts your understanding and leads to frustration. The Stoic approach is simple. Observe without attachment. Understand without expectation. Let others be as they are, not as you wish them to be. This mindset not only improves your ability to read people, but also brings peace to your interactions. Part 14. The Wisdom of Letting Go. There's one final piece of the puzzle, letting go. Why do we want to read people in the first place? Often it's because we seek validation, approval, or control. But the Stoic teaches us that true wisdom comes from letting go of these desires. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." To be brave, in this context, means to free yourself from the need to control or predict others. It means accepting them as they are, without judgment or expectation. Here's a challenge. The next time you feel frustrated because you can't read someone, let go of the need to figure them out. Instead, focus on understanding yourself. Ask, why do I feel this way? What am I seeking? This shift in focus is transformative. It redirects your energy inward, where true growth and understanding reside. Part 15. The journey begins. As we come to the end of this journey, let me leave you with one final thought. The art of reading people is not about them. It's about you. It's about cultivating patience, empathy, and resilience. It's about mastering your emotions and seeing the world with clarity. And above all, it's about living a life of wisdom and virtue, as the Stoics taught. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to take action. Start small. Begin observing yourself and those around you with a calm and open mind. Practice patience, embrace silence, let go of judgment, and watch as the world begins to reveal itself to you in ways you never imagined. And before you go, I have one request. If you found value in this message, hit that like button and subscribe to The Modern Stoic. Join us as we continue exploring the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and how it can transform our lives. Together, we can become not just readers of people, but masters of ourselves. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay grounded, stay wise, and stay stoic.